Right, so it's our last day in Amsterdam. Had a nice gentle start to the morning. Lovely hotel allow us to leave our luggage there, and because of everything being locked down, he said if ever we need to pop up, can use the bathroom, we are more than welcome to do so. Can't fault this hotel for how friendly and helpful they've been in what has been quite a challenging holiday, but we've actually found it very enjoyable in some ways. It's made us look at spending our time here in a slightly different way, and we've done things we probably wouldn't have done under normal circumstances. So yeah, in a lot of respects it's been a great holiday for different reasons than normal. So we're now going to go on a boat cruise. It's a 1-hour canal cruise, and as I said before, it's to give an alternative view of Amsterdam from the point of view of the canals, which run round and round and round the city. And this is where we'll be picking it up. So I'll start filming probably again when we get back on board. Okay, so we're just starting the canal cruise, leaving the Damrak, and just behind us is the grasshopper. Oh, if I can turn around that much. Yeah. And as I say, we're going to show a different view of Amsterdam from canal side. So we're not going to do much commentary. I thought I'd just let the camera do itself.
Isn't it gorgeous? Like the glass, isn't it?
A bit of reflection here. Could I ask you to take over?
Huh?
Could you hold this for me?
Certainly could.
I do actually want to put my headphones on.
You carry on, Dom.
Picking somebody up.
Oh man, moet ik nog iets vast? Ja, ik pak wel even. Nou, ze kunnen eigenlijk
Some
wel.
fantastic bit of manoeuvring there. As we pick somebody else up. Oh. So apparently God loves us, which is nice to... Oh, no, it's Jesus loves us, which is very nice to hear.
Oh, nee. Okay.
With a big church building, Catholic, I imagine.
Ja, hier ben je staan een mooi. Oké, zo de oordopjes die geven wat informatie via de GPS. Maar ik weet nooit precies wanneer en dat hangt nog een beetje vanaf welke route. Ja. Dus in Nederland, snap je? Ja. Dus ja, als het aanspringt dan hoor je het al en voor de rest vertel ik wel zelf ook, denk ik in het Engels, maar zo moet je het ook in het vertaal.
I can't actually hear anything.
Twee denk ik.
What is that place then?
What?
Maar ik zal dan zeggen,
A place which says Jesus loves you.
als je niks afspeelt hoor
Oh,
je
I don't know, it
het
looks
niet.
like an apartment block or something. I'm not getting anything here.
You did say you might not get anything.
Hij doet iets, hè? Ja. So it should be working now.
Yeah, if it could.
No clue what.
You want me to take it?
800,000 people. 800,000 people.
What?
That's the population of Amsterdam.
What about it?
That's the population of Amsterdam.
Oh, right. Why are you telling me this?
I'm saying how small it is.
Oh, yeah. That came right out of the left field. You understand that, don't you? Now I get it. You want me to start repeating what I'm hearing in my head?
Ugly building.
Take it.
Ja.
Amsterdam, or the dam built across the Amstel.
Now, fast forward a few hundred years. Amsterdam has grown into a fortified medieval village, complete with dikes, ditches, and canals to control the sea level. Even this far back in time, it was an important trading hub. Ships sailed back and forth across the Baltic Sea carrying grain, cloth, wood, and salt. The original wall of Amsterdam would have been to our right. During the Middle Ages, a moat, now called a city, encircled the city. The church you see, the St. Nicholas, was built centuries later. Named after the patron saint of seafarers, it stood overlooking the harbor. Also to our right is the 15th century Schreier's Tower. This outer defense tower got its name from the scare, or sharp corner, formed by the city walls that met here.
Look to the left. Nothing you see, including the land itself, was here during medieval times. Over the centuries, much of the land around us was wrestled from the sea. To reclaim this polder, or land that was once covered by lakes and seas, industrious Amsterdammers built dikes and used windmills and pumps to get rid of unwanted water. And they've done an amazing and ingenious job of it. When it comes to controlling sea levels, the Netherlands takes the lead worldwide.
I'm sure I saw the houseboat that Harold was on further back that way. This is that Chinese restaurant. It was a boat.
What is that place?
The Chinese restaurant.
We're going to have to go.
It's a floating one. No?
Eh?
It's a floating restaurant.
Say it again.
It's a floating restaurant.
Oh. Not actually floating, how is it? It looks like it's on blocks.
I think it does
Yeah.
float.
No, I don't it is, mate. I think if that starts floating, a lot of people will leave Amsterdam. I'm so sorry about that.
Can you see the big yellow ducks on top of that building?
Yeah, see, that's got to be library.
Yes.
Geldautomaat heeft en
That's
stoornis. Daarom kunt u alleen maar.
Very modern building. Yes.
And a conservatory, a conservatorium.
Ja. Dat is in Nederland zo niet, dus allemaal dat soort taalfouten.
So apparently all of this used to be water.
Oh,
All reclaimed land.
and look at that. There's a multi-story car park. But they're still building. Thanks for that.
I don't know what those things are on top of that building. Those yellow things, what are they meant to be?
Ducks.
Well, that's what I thought, but they're not very duck-like. They've got no bills for a start.
Aliens.
Oh, I know they have their rubber duck thing over here, don't they?
They're aliens.
There's a shop, isn't there, that just does rubber ducks?
No, they're aliens.
Can't remember what this big green thing is up here.
Oh, je bedoelt dit.
Weird looking thing.
Huh?
This green thing, I can't remember what it is. It's the weirdest looking building.
It is, isn't it? We've seen these, but only from afar, haven't we?
Hmm.
Okay, so what's under the water there? You can tell there's something, can't you?
You sure it's not just a reflection from the
I think
bridge?
it's one of those swing bridge things. Yeah, they're very strict 7.5 metre depth, yeah. It's got to be. And it's got to be two of them. Got the surge, you know. Piece of machine. Soon, sleep here. What was I saying?
They're building a new hotel.
Dream big, sleep tiny. The Sweets Hotel. What?
So this beautiful building is the head office of Booking.com,
Ah, is this where they're basing themselves?
which they were planning in the time that everybody was booking everything, and now nobody's booking nothing, so I'm not sure if it ever will be opened, but they had big plans at one point.
There are still buildings.
Yeah.
I'm still
They're
using
at
them.
least they're finished.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
This is pretty.
Yeah. Okay.
But my story about the Netherlands always starts with saying that more than half of our country is below sea level. So everything we see on the way has to do with that. The Dutch were always fighting against the water, always building dikes, pumping out water, windmills. And almost everything you see in the city also has to do with the fight against the water. We now come at the eye, which used to be a sea, an ocean, up until 1850. There are locks to the east, which connect to the IJsselmeer, to the IJssel Lake, and that connects to the North Sea, at least until 1932, when they built the enclosure dike in the north of the country. So from then on, the sea became a lake and became fresh water. And with the completion of the locks on the east side, Amsterdam was safe for the seawater, at least. Then we built a big canal straight to the west, 30 kilometers to IJmuiden, because it could take ships, the classical wooden ships could take up to 3 months before they could come onto the open sea.
Wow.
And now with the 30-kilometer canal, it's just a matter of hours until you reach open water. So now this is fresh water, but because there are locks in the west and in the east, there is still a layer of salt water underneath. It's heavier than fresh water, so the salt water is underneath and the fresh water is on top.
Do you know where we are now?
And we're looking at Amsterdam North
Oh yeah.
with the big Amsterdam Tower, which was the main head office of Shell company.
It's been marvellous.
See, somewhere over there would be nice to live,
And we're looking at the backside of Amsterdam Central Station.
wouldn't it? Somewhere over there would be nice to live.
Yeah. And quite considerably cheaper, I would have thought.
So it used to be Shell, but what's now in
Yeah, it's Amsterdam Tower, so it's the big square thing on top is a restaurant, and the round thing underneath that is also a restaurant which turns in 1 hour. So if you just eat, you will see the whole scenery as long as you eat. And on top of it, there are swings
Oh yeah.
where you swing over the edge mechanically.
You were terrified.
It was very scary.
But the whole thing around the eye has been developed very late. In the 1980s, when I was a kid, this was still all industrial warehouses and railroads and crappy places with car garages, just crappy tippelzone, said in English. Pickup point for prostitutes was here, so it was really rough side of the city. So they started developing this in the 90s, I guess.
About when we started coming, wasn't it?
In front of us, the white square building is the Palace of Justice. For pedestrians and bikes, it's the blue and white ferries that can get you to the other side. For cars, there's a tunnel underneath, and since a couple of years, there's a subway line underneath here. But unfortunately, they forgot to make a tunnel for the bikes, so everybody still has to go on the ferries.
When was the Adam Tower?
In normal circumstances.
Do you know when the
it,
Adam Tower was finished?
Sorry?
Do you know when the Adam Tower was finished?
Yeah, it's already finished.
Yeah, no, but when?
5 years ago, 7 years ago.
That would explain why I hadn't seen it. Yeah.
But before Corona, it was so busy that even 4 ferries every 3-4 minutes to the other side were still too full to handle all the passengers. So we needed the north-south subway line, and now they just have 4 ferries to spread the passengers. But still, they're thinking about bridges over the eye.
I wouldn't mind doing
2
that.
bike bridges, one over there and one in the west. But that's not a good plan because you also have many sailing ships passing by, and if you have to open a bridge every 10 minutes or 15 minutes, then it's no use. And then all the ships are going to stop here, and there is a lot of traffic, big traffic. So that would be unsafe. So I guess those bridges will never come.
I hope to make the corkscrew tunnel.
Yeah, that would be perfect. In Rotterdam, they already did this in the 60s. You know, they have the Maas tunnel,
Yeah.
which is with escalators,
Yeah.
roltrappen, but still functions perfectly. You know, you can transport many bikes per hour. And what you say with just a little tunnel with a corkscrew, yeah, that's
be
infinite
perfect.
capacity forever.
It would be good. wouldn't
But
it?
now with
I
the
would try
crisis
that.
and that cost a lot of money, they should have built a tunnel right away. If you build 2 subway tunnels,
Yeah.
you just need 4 extra meters for bikes. That's really small thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, so the white building is the Eye Film Museum. Also maybe 15 years old or something, 10, 15.
large expanse of water, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lake now. Are we going down under Bottle Bridge? Are we going down under Bottle Bridge?
Gently.
I think we are. Yeah.
What does it say?
I think it's green energy.
Welcome to Wales.
1 million ports.
Oh, there's lots of cars, look.
Zero emission ports.
There's a type 2 sticker. Working towards a zero emission port, so everything's going to be electric.
Right, I've got it right. We are going underneath Bottle Bridge.
Really?
Yeah. Well, can't call it Bottle Bridge anymore because there's no bottle there.
I wonder if the council come and take them all down, or
Yeah, I just wonder why. We're not doing any harm there.
no, that's big, isn't it? Right, this is the bit that has a bottle on, isn't it?
No, a bit further up.
Is it?
Yeah,
Right.
the next bridge.
So they've got those letters on.
It did have bottles, it hasn't got them anymore. Strange to think we were at the same level of the road, you know? Yes, I called it. I worked out where we were, even though we were on the river.
Zo vanaf Alba van Haarlem door zo. On the left here, a big bike parking garage for 3,000 bikes. Amsterdam is the ideal city to do by bike. It's flat, it's small, and the bike is the fastest, the safest way, the cheapest way. And no matter how much bike parkings we make around the station, it'll never be enough. It's a wonder that there are still free places right now, because in a normal economy this would be all full. And it always was a very popular hobby among students to throw bikes into the water. So about 15,000 bikes end up in the water each year. Then we enter into the old city by locks. So before 1850 that would have been salt water here, and we wanted to control the water level in the city.
We are now on the Single, passing through locks that were originally built to regulate Amsterdam's water levels and to keep the city from flooding at high tide. Nowadays, locks and dams further out have closed Amsterdam's harbor off from the North Sea, and city residents don't have to worry about tides. Instead, the locks are used to flush water through the canals, keeping them clean. Amsterdam replaces the gate every 50 years or so. If you look closely, you might find the date these gates were last replaced. It's recorded on the gates themselves.
So this cat looks very scared. So this houseboat is the houseboat. Houseboat for cats. And we're gonna have to make a turn because something is going on over there. I cannot pass, apparently. Over here on the left
we've looked at it, but we haven't.
is a little house number 7, just in between
Oh
houses,
lordy! Wow.
which is just an alley which was filled up. So in the front it's just as wide as the house door, but in the end it widens up a little bit. And that was because you had to pay tax over the width of your gable. So the standard plot is 6 meters, most houses are 6 meters wide. But sometimes a smart guy just took a little extra, or sometimes you had somebody who wanted 2 plots, but he didn't want 12 meters but 10. So then he would remain 2 meters for somebody who didn't want to pay much taxes. De Escher komt van de single de brouwer op. So not only 15,000 bikes end up in the canal each year, also 10 cars. You can imagine if you park like this and you forget the handbrake and your wheels are not correctly turned, that this car could easily roll into the canals. Happens 10 times a year. So that's why insurance company make railings like that one, because it's cheaper than paying for all the cars who end up in the canal and end up total loss. So you see, most houses have little stairs in front of their front doors. That was also had to do with the water, because you would have high tides and low tides before 1850. So there would be floods. And if you didn't want your living room to flood, you would build your you would build your ground floor a little bit higher, so that you got dry feet. So the richer you were, the higher your stairs were. And if you had no money, then there were no stairs. And under the stairs is the room for the kitchen and for the kitchen staff.
Kitchen. Nice place, isn't it?
That's one Harold's day
Is it?
Yeah.
You sure?
100%.
Did you damage it that much that they were refurbishing it?
He walked down, right the way down the centre, he couldn't get down any further.
Van de Brouwer naar de Prinsen. De Escher.
I ended up with my slip.
So, the Princess Canal instead of the Singel. Many houseboats here. Around the city there's 2,500 houseboats. Started out in the 1950s, 1960s after World War II. Many people did not have enough money to buy a house on the canals or in the city. So they just bought a crappy old boat and started living on it. So in the 1950s, 1960s, these were poor people, but 2 generations later, they're rich people just because the houseboats have become so valuable that you easily pay 500,000, 800,000 euros for a houseboat like this. Not because the boat is worth so much, but because the place is so valuable. So you have 2 types. You have the iron ships, the steel ships. A lot of painting to be done to keep them in order. And the square ones, these have a concrete bottom, so no maintenance on the bottom, just will stay like this for 100 years, this concrete. But it can also not sail on its own. These ships might still have an engine, but the square ones always need a tugboat. And how you're gonna get this square ship underneath all the bridges. So they're stuck here forever, or you have to break them down. So the whole Amsterdam Canal Belt is also part of the UNESCO World Heritage. So this is all a protected site, which means we cannot do much about the canals. You know, the houses have to stay like they are, same colors, same buildings. And that also goes for the ships. So many of these ships are classical transport ships. They used to fulfill a role in our history. But sometimes somebody wants a very modern boat, and then you have to apply for a permit. And now that it's UNESCO World Heritage, there's not much chance you can get a permit for a deviant boat.
But you don't get fined if you don't, maintain your ship.
No, that's totally free. And there's old people who think, well, the ship's gonna last longer than I'm gonna last, so who cares?
Yeah.
But then what happens if, for example, somebody dies that lives on this boat, is it then sold? Like the
Yeah.
ship is sold, or?
If you have a family, then your family will inherit the boat, and they can sell it, or they have to pay for deconstructing it and removing it. And if there's somebody without family, then it just goes to the community, to the
Being auctioned.
city of Amsterdam. And that will not be difficult because there will be many people who want to buy even the most crappy boat,
Oh.
and they just pay for removing it, and
Yeah, you pay for the spot.
and then you have the right to put a new boat here.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's enough people with €1 million to do that. So. But normally this is very busy. Everybody in the summer wants to go over the Princess Canal. You have the Gay Pride on King's Day, 27th of April. It's always the most popular canal for private boats to sail on. So this is very quiet, and especially here with Anne Frank's house. Yeah, this whole quayside should be full with people. Lines up to 2-3 hours waiting for people to get into Anne Frank's museum. And now everything is dead. So this is the actual Anne Frank house with the green doors in front. And then on the back side, on the top floor, that's where Anne Frank hid and wrote her diary. And the new building is the museum, still open.
There was a bloke on the boat, saw me filming and was waving. So I waved back to him.
And next to it, the Western Church from 1622, place where our former Queen Beatrix got married. And the painter Rembrandt is buried here in an anonymous grave.
I've never done that, but I don't think your legs would cope with the pedalers. Me doing all the work.
You'd have to pedal for 2, right?
Yeah.
Just like
Hmm?
I always dislike pedaling. I feel money for first, bow windows on those buildings.
So not only we have water from the seaside, we also have the Rhine River, which starts in Switzerland and comes through Germany and then ends up here and goes through Rotterdam and then to the sea. So the Rhine River also brings a lot of water here. So also a lot of water management to keep all the water out in winter and to keep enough water in the summer. But all these rising tides that we had before, they made sure that there's a lot of problems here with our quaysides. So it's a very soft ground because it's a river delta, so everything is mud, and only on 20 meters deep there's a layer of sand. So all the houses you see here are built on piles. We make big piles, we put them 20 meters into the ground, and there the houses are built on. And nowadays, of course, there's concrete piles, but in the old days they were from wood.
Oh, Jesus.
So this wood starts rotting as soon as the water level changes. And also the quaysides, which are also built on wooden piles, they also start rotting and start falling down. So when a quayside is becoming too bad, we make this emergency construction. We build this iron wall in front of it, we fill it up with sand, and then we wait until we have enough time and money to fix the quayside. Because everywhere you look, there's cracks in the walls. You see houses that are tilting to the left, to the right, to the front, to the back. And we should have maintained it a long time ago, but yeah, it's not a very popular thing to do when you're in the city council. You always think, well, I'm here for 4 years. I can either spend all my money on repairing canal walls, or I can spend it on something else and hope that it still holds a little bit. And so a few weeks ago in the red light district, a whole canal wall just caved in, just in the middle of the night, bang!
Wow.
Caved in, and now, yeah, we cannot go there for a couple of years until they fix that. But that can happen on many places.
Houseboat museum. Hmm.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that.
Hmm?
I wouldn't mind going around that.
Oh ja. Ja, op een boot ook wordt het wel krachtig die je zo kan brengen, denk ik. Dit is niet veel beter van zo'n maar het is geen
Music in here. We hear noise from the back of the boat. Sounds like they're stuck.
Getting really hungry.
Starving, that's
What do
it.
you fancy getting?
Yeah.
Fancy a doobie?
To be honest, yeah, something like that would be quite simple.
Why we get off as a doobie just opposite.
I knew it.
We'll silence that hungry monster together.
So quiet, isn't it?
Hmm?
So quiet.
It's almost mesmerising. I'm just chilling out.
I mean, the city as well.
So of course everything, if the foundation of houses was becoming too bad to support houses, then they tear down the house and build a new one in between. But in principle, there were a lot of warehouses on the Princess Canal. So merchants storing their goods in warehouses. That's why most houses have this beam on top with a hook on it. On this hook you can put a rope and pulley and then hoist up your goods. Because the stairs are too narrow to lift heavy stuff up until the top floor. So even today they are used for moving your furniture, your couch, your refrigerator. And that's why many houses lean a little bit to the front. Because if it leans to the front and the rope on the hook hangs down from it, your goods will not bump into your windows. This house you see over here, that leans on two sides. So it has a hook on the street side and it has a hook on the canal side. So that's a very strange form, leaning to two sides.
What gives it what makes it an illusion? No, yeah.
Prinsenkruisleidser.
It's just rising.
Nou, ook een stremming, dus dat gaan we ook niet doen. So we saw the new Palace of Justice. This was the old one. And I have no doubt they're going to make a hotel out of it. Because that's what they did for the last 50 years. Every building that became empty, it was a school, a hospital, whatever it was, it's all becoming a hotel.
Perfect for a hotel anyway. Looks about perfect for a hotel.
Van de Prinsenleidser.
Closures today.
Ik denk daar moet komen te staan, gescand. Die camera deze image. achter op een roterende schroef of
Nee.
gewoon een schroef en een roer?
Ja.
En voor duidelijke boekschroef.
Ja.
Geen hekschroef meer achter, gewoon.
Nee. Alleen, maar wel dus op het roer zit dan wel zo'n fishtail.
Ja.
Zodat hij bijna op zijn plek kan draaien, zeg maar.
Ja.
Keizersgracht, hier zat mijn witte pand. Denk ik. Ik weet het zeker. Dat was in ieder geval dit pand. Denk ik. Kom maar, misschien.
Ja, laat, gaat over kijken. Dat is gewoon minder.
And then we're on the Gentleman's Canal, the Herengracht, with the most rich houses, most white houses, sometimes 12 meters wide,
Ja, toch, de laatste heren, vrouwen.
built with natural stone, which we do not have in the Netherlands, so that was all imported from Germany, England, Denmark. Just as the wood from all the piles under the houses, it's also not Dutch wood because we do not have trees that are strong enough to do that. So there's also the Danish and the Scandinavian forests that gave us that wood. So we traded a lot with them. As early as 1300, 1350 we were already sailing towards the East Sea to Denmark, Scandinavia, to trade wood and cloth and stone. And now we're in the Golden Bend, the Gouden Bocht. So very, very rich houses. You see big stairs. Maybe even the kitchen staff would keep dry feet if there was a flood. Embassies, lawyers, bankers, but no normal people, because you cannot afford a house like this unless you're a billionaire. So there's more than 100 kilometers of canal left in Amsterdam. Used to be more than 200, but we filled up a lot of canals, which you see in the street names. You have the Elandsgracht, which used to be a canal, is now a street. So every street name with gracht in it used to be water. And if it was for some city councillors, they would have filled it all up and made all roads out of it, then we would have no canals whatsoever. The building on the right here is the Basel. The Vijzelgracht. Used to be a main office of ABN AMRO Bank. It's now the city archives.
It used to be a canal. Wait for him.
Here on the right, the house with the white balcony, that's where our mayor lives. Femke. Our famous Femke. De Escher, Torbeck Amstel.
Brilliant. This is a great way to end your holiday. I have to confess, like you, I'm getting a little bit hungry.
Just taking it easy. Chill out. It's too lovely. That's it.
What are they doing? They're just having a tea break.
They're just having a break. They're just chilling out.
On the right side, the Reguliersgracht with the 7 identical boat bridges.
Oh, pretty.
Nicely lit up at night.
Ja, dat was goed. Volgens mij was dat verliefd.
Oh dear. A museum of bags and pearls. Don't tell me about that.
Electric. Electric.
Oh, right, yeah. I look at the Museum of Bags and Purses and you look at an electric charging point.
What did you look at? Can you hear what you said?
Museum of Bags and Purses. where Booking.com are at the moment, is it? Guy there parked his van, decided to test out if he was close enough by just touching the rail. The bumper was just sitting on the rail. I can't actually get rid of a view of this at the moment.
And then we're on the Amstel River, the only natural waterway of the city. So all the canals are man-made, dug out by lots and lots of men with shovels and wheelbarrows. But this is an actual river. In front of us now the skinny bridge, the Magere Brug, and behind that there are locks. So that's where the river comes from the countryside and dumping all its water in the Eye and then in the North Sea. And since this year we also have the splash bus, which is a normal autobus, normal street bus, which also functions as a boat, amphibian.
Oh, weird.
A Rotterdam company who
It's a boat, but it's also a bus.
starts that out.
And that is groovy. Oh wow, that would be so cool.
Only in Holland. It's so different from barge, isn't it? You know what I mean?
From what?
When you see all this from a barge point of view, it's so different than the street view that we're used to.
Yeah. I don't think I want a houseboat out on this. I don't think I want a houseboat out on this.
Why?
Too choppy.
And I've noticed the temperature's dropped. It's because you're on open water, it just does. So this will be a cold area. Nice, this one as well.
Yeah, well I think
Just doesn't have a landmark, I can show you.
I know where we are. I knows where we are. I knows where we are.
de Monteband, Blauwbrug van Buddebal.
Tandartspraktik.
This place on the corner.
It looks like a conservatory. Like Kew Gardens or something.
That's like an Eden project, isn't it?
Somebody actually lived there.
Huh?
Somebody lived there. Can you imagine living there?
Mm. You fancy it?
What's it right over the canal? Very green down there. Very green down here. I don't think I've been over this before. I haven't seen this.
Wertheimparkje, het Auschwitz monument.
Not a lot of that is there, wood.
No.
You know, little forest in Amsterdam.
Apparently that's the Auschwitz monument.
Hmm?
I think that's the Auschwitz monument.
Oh, right. I wouldn't mind going around here at some point, would you?
Be lovely in the summer.
Right.
Be lovely in the summer, wouldn't it?
Why don't you just open the tripod and stand it down?
Because it's easier just to move this way. Just easy. Can you see those porticos upstairs? Can you see the things? You could be seeing them. It's like arm supports because the portico itself is just a single sort of like thickness. If you look, those you can see there's iron bits sticking out behind them, tying into the roof. It's basically just holding that front piece on. That's just ostentation for ostentation's sake, isn't it? these pumping things. They're strange looking bridges, but I don't know if I'm going to get a very good view of it. Over to that side, hon? Can I just nip over to that side?
Want to move over?
Yeah, I just want to get this boat. I don't think I'll get it very well otherwise.
Okay, the bus is leaving the water here, so we're witness to that. And in between is the Maritime Museum. Normally there's the wooden VOC ship, Eastern United Company ship. But that's on the wharf for maintenance, so they have the City of Amsterdam, which is a school ship where maritime naval students learn how to sail. So normally this sails around the world, just as that ship, the Bark Europe, goes to Antarctica.
Bizarre. Absolutely bizarre.
It's cool, isn't it?
Just
Isn't that great?
so weird. Right, let me plonk myself down again.
Huh?
Let me plonk myself down again. Go back to Nemo now.
Yeah, but,
Yeah. That's the Science Museum.
Hey?
The Science Museum.
It's like a mess, doesn't it?
Mm?
It looks like a mess.
It's meant to look like a boat.
It's a mess.
It's meant to look like a big ship, you know?
Needs a good paint.
I would imagine that's probably deliberate to reflect the colour of the water. You not like it? You not admire that little architecture, no? Not your bag.
Eerder geroepen?
Ping your bell.
Goedemiddag.
The flat in my butt.
Ja, maar wel.
Not my time.
Hij heeft papieren, dus
Dan-
daar. Nee, maar
Flat in my butt.
I'm sitting here on my own now.
Why?
I don't know. I barely believe it myself.
That's a footbridge. It's a cycle and a footbridge there.
I tend not to see them these days.
To our right is Amsterdam's library, the largest in the Netherlands. This 9-story building is nicknamed the Tower of Knowledge. You can catch another great view of Oosterdijk and the city from its top floor cafe. Just past the library, there's a large, brightly colored building floating in the harbor. This is the Sea Palace, one of Amsterdam's many Asian restaurants. The city boasts a wide range of international restaurants, Turkish, Moroccan, French, Indonesian, that reflect its very diverse population. Interested in eating authentic Dutch cuisine? For starters, you might try some herring or eel, ea soup with sausage or bacon, or a Dutch-style pancake.
Heard that.
To start off with it.
That's a great idea.
Oude wal.
Dan probeer ik te checken hoe dat is.
To the Chinese restaurant. So is that a library?
No.
What's that?
The building
No,
with
it's
flags
behind.
atop it is the former Scheepvaarthuis, or shipping house. A group of shipping companies ran their businesses from here. This early 20th century building is considered to be the first true example of the Amsterdam school style of architecture. The front of the building is impressively adorned with statues of Neptune, his wife, and 4 figures that represent the points of the compass. The building is decorated inside and out with all kinds of nautical symbols, anchors, ships, and famous Dutch mariners. It's now a 5-star luxury hotel.
Yeah. Thought it might be. I think it looks very Germanic. I think it looks very Germanic.
Yeah, it does.
Maybe it's all the flags on top, make it look a bit like Colditch, you know.
You say so.
Well, you know what I mean.
Me too.
We're now heading back to where our tour began, as we draw closer to the mouth of the Amstel River, where Amsterdam was first established. Let's move back in time once more. Again, we see the large Baroque-style St. Nicholas Church, named after the patron saint of seafarers. After the Protestant Reformation, Catholics were not allowed to practice their religion publicly in Amsterdam. They built secret churches, hidden away in secular buildings. One of these, the Ons Lieve hier op zolder, or Our Lord in the Attic, is now another museum you can visit while in Amsterdam. In the late 18th century, French rulers restored Catholic rights to worship openly, and this church was built shortly after.
Let's move further back to the 17th century, when Amsterdam was one of the wealthiest and most powerful cities in Europe. At that time, the Round Schriers Tower that sits in front of St. Nicholas Church had already been standing at the city's edge for 200 years. Many ships set sail from here, including the Dutch East Indian Company's first expedition. At the beginning of the Golden Age, the English explorer Henry Hudson also set sail from the Schriers Tower. He was in search of a new trade route to the East Indies on behalf of the Dutch East Indian Company. Instead, he found North America and the river that now bears his name. The tower has a plaque commemorating his journey.
Zo.
Ja, precies. Nee, ik kan dus niet vanaf de Haarlemmer de hele Singel af. Dat is systeem, of niet?
Nee, die van jou werkt alleen op leren.
Ja, nee, dat werkt sowieso niet. Maar ik kwam met een bord verhouding vragen tegen.
Goed, dat weet ik niet.
Nou, ik zal het even op gaan zoeken.
On behalf of Canal Tours Amsterdam and your friendly captain, our heartfelt thanks for joining us. Our Stroma ticket shops have plenty of great information about things to do in Amsterdam, more ways to discover our beautiful city from the water, and of course, tickets to many attractions. Please stop in. You may keep your headphones if you wish, but please don't discard them. We're very conscious of protecting the environment. If you don't want your headphones, return them to the onboard staff for recycling. We wish you a memorable time here in the historic and enchanting city of Amsterdam. Enjoy your stay.
De boot is ook open af, kom op.
$1993. 27 years ago. We played for maybe 50 years. No, they're not rates.